Welcome to The Relay, a podcast from Gulf Relay where we dive behind the scenes of our operations, teams, and industry.
Hello, I am Rhaya, your driver recruiting manager, and today with me I have Maddie Cook, who's Director of Customer Success here. So happy to have you here today being a part of The Relay. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. So why don't you start by telling us what your name is, your position with Gulf Relay, and how long you've been here?
3 easy questions. I like that. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Maddie Cook, and I am the Director of Customer Success here at Gulf Relay, which is really just a long, fancy title to mean that I manage the account management department and the planning department. And I have been with Gulf Relay since February of 2021. So in February of this year, it'll be 3 years.
Okay, congratulations there. So how long have you been inside of the transportation field? Because if you've been with Gulf Relay for, since 2021, I'm sure you have had plenty of experience before then.
I have. So October will be 7 years. Actually, I started in 2016 at Covenant Transport as a planner. So I started off planning a region, and then I moved into planning the refrigerated fleets, the Walmart produce from coast to coast, from Colton, California, to getting those trailers back, as well as the drivers. And then I moved into, actually still at Covenant, I moved into fleet management for 1.5 years. So I was a fleet manager, and I also did about a 30-day stint of on-site customer service in Louisville, Kentucky for UPS while I was at Covenant. And then after I left Covenant, I went to Brown Trucking, where I planned the Southeast region for 1 year before coming here.
Very impressive, very impressive.
Done a little bit of everything.
Yes. So here, of course, you manage very different aspects of what's going on the floor. As you call it, it's a conveyor belt breakdown of exactly what happens here on the floor to getting a load to the driver. Yeah. Why don't you explain that here for our viewers to kind of let them know what's happening here? Okay.
So like you said, I call it the conveyor belt. Basically, it's sort of a 3-part process. It really starts with the customer here in this case, but your account managers and your account management department, they own that relationship with the customer. So they represent Gulf Relay to our customer. Basically, what their job is to understand our commitments from that customer, as well as know who to talk to solicit extra freight. So what the account management team is doing all day long is talking to their customers, booking loads, trying to solicit extra freight. So once the customer gives an account manager a tender, what we'll call a load tender, the account manager puts that in McLeod in the system. So that's step 1. Then we move down to step 2, which is planning. So once that load is in McLeod, you basically have what's called a planning board. The top is available loads, and the bottom is drivers coming in that need a load. So the planner's job is to match up as best they can a load to service the customer, as well as a load that services the driver. When does the driver need to be home? Does he have any expirations? Does he need to go get a physical? That's what planning is looking at via those expirations. Planning is really fun because, you put a puzzle together like this, and then if you have one breakdown, you've really got to take it all apart and try to put it back together again. And sometimes that means flexing appointments on a customer, where they'll tell an account manager, I can't get it today, but can we push it to tomorrow? So planning is fun. It's a big puzzle. But after that, after the planner has determined that, yes, this driver can service this load on time, and yes, this load works for this driver, then it moves down to fleet management. And that's really the third part in the conveyor. So the fleet management group is responsible for owning the relationship between the drivers and Gulf Relay. So what the fleet managers are really, they are the driver's advocate on this floor. They're the ones hounding the planners. Hey, my guy needs more miles. He had a lower week last week. This guy really needs to get home for graduation. So the fleet managers are really the advocates for our drivers. And then the last step of that is they actually Z-mint the load in McLeod, as we call it, that load to the onboard unit, the OmniTrax unit. And that's how it gets from A to B.
That's a really good breakdown of exactly what happens from getting a load from a customer going all the way to the driver here, and the different people that it goes through, and how it navigates here on the floor, and how many people are actually involved.
Yeah. It's a cycle
with it. Yeah. So what are some challenges that you are facing now, and how are you navigating through them to improve Gulf Relay?
Okay. Well, obviously the biggest challenge right now is the market. We are still seeing that oversaturation of capacity. Again, I know I've mentioned it in one of these before, but basically your crisis COVID capacity, where so many additional DOT numbers and MC numbers were injected into the system, to deal with that demand from the giant supply chain disruption. You know, they were still adding all through last year. So you really have an oversaturated market. And that's a huge challenge when you're trying to weed those people out. So what I have my account management team focusing on really is plant level relationships. So it's a person, you know, somebody may have this whole customer name account, but they may be, what I've got them focusing on is the relationship with maybe the product planner, whoever the, you know, the carrier manager is over a plant level here close to us. And the reason I think that is important is because things happen in warehouses and shipping locations all the time. You know, it's just like they're planning. They may have somebody fall off. Yeah. So if you've got a really strong relationship at the plant level, the chances are better that that person will pick up the phone and call one of my people and say, hey, this just happened. I know you are 5 miles down the road. Can you help us out? And we have seen some success with that. So I've got them focusing mainly on building those relationships, as well as we are growing their knowledge as far as different freight commodities, other markets, and how to price and rate.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our account managers carry a lot of things on their back every single day coming in. How do you feel that your team is handling the challenges and the changes and overcoming them on their day-to-day?
I really couldn't be more proud of my team. Most of them are new. I think only 2 were here when I started, and one of them is actually yours now, Jessica. So, you know, but it's so different as an account manager from a really booming market and a slower market. So in a booming market like we've had for the past 2 years, you don't really have to do much. The freight just shows up at your door. You've got people knocking down all day. Hey, I need this covered. What can you do? And it's a lot easier if you miss something because they need it anyways, right? So they don't really have to do a whole lot of finagling on the excuses part of things. In a slower market, it really is a grind to go out there. It is hunting spot boards. It is almost hounding people to try to get those extra 1 or 2 loads that we may not have other than that. But this is their first time for most of these people that have ever encountered a slower market. And they ask great questions. I love the questions, and I love the attitude of, hey, I want more. How can I help?
That's actually a really great thing, especially in today's market and times. If you have any advice for someone coming into the transportation field or getting their CDLA or even thinking about becoming a fleet manager, like anything that has to do with just truck movement, what would you say to them?
Probably be a little flexible. It was one of those things that I'm honestly I'm not very flexible. I like my schedule when I like it scheduled. And if something goes wrong, I don't love that. But one thing that I really had to learn coming into this industry is you got to roll with the punches in every situation, whether that's out on the floor, on the road. We can only control what we can control. Things like, you know, communication, that kind of stuff. But there's so many external factors that we can't control. You've really just got to learn to say, you know what, that's all right. We'll get it tomorrow and move on.
That's a very good answer. Well, I thank you so much for coming in and joining us for the relay on today. And you guys have a great week.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being here. Y'all stay safe.